Hello, Africa. You're watching Good Governance on 1/3 TV. These are your five most performing presidents in Africa. At number 5 is Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. He was born November 19, 1954. He is the sixth and the current president of Egypt, former Director General of Military Intelligence, former Minister of Defense, and also the current chairperson of the African Union. On June 8, 2014, el-Sisi was sworn into office after winning in a landslide election. He was credited for the coup that ousted the Morsi-led government, which was marred by instability, violence, human rights violation, and support for terrorist organizations. But under el-Sisi-led government, Egypt has been relatively peaceful, and stability has returned to the country that was once on the verge of collapse. Economic reforms. El-Sisi's economic reforms was boosted by a $12 billion IMF loan in 2016. That has seen Egypt rank third in the global economic growth, the highest Egypt has ranked in 10 years. Under el-Sisi, Egypt's foreign reserve increased from $16 billion in 2014 to $37 billion in 2018. 3.5 million new jobs was also said to be created since el-Sisi took office, reducing the unemployment level from 13.4% to 11.9%. El-Sisi plans to build 13 new cities from the scratch, including the $45 billion administrative city, which is currently under construction. It is said to be 2 times the size of Cairo. The city will hold the offices of the president, cabinet, parliament, and other ministries. The city planners also promise to build parks, airport, an opera house, and 20 skyscrapers, including Africa's highest at 345 meters. The Egyptian parliament recently passed a proposed constitutional amendment that could see President el-Sisi remain in power until 2030. Critics have frowned at the proposal, calling it a step back to authoritarianism. It remains unclear if el-Sisi is grooming a successor or if he plans to contest election again when his current tenure runs out. With these and many other achievements, el-Sisi has certainly earned a place on Africa's 5 most performing presidents. At number 4 is Nana Akufo-Addo, born William Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo on the 29th of March 1944. He is currently the President of Ghana. He previously served as the Attorney General and the Foreign Affairs Minister respectively under the Akufo-led administration. Akufo-Addo won the 2016 presidential election, defeating the sitting president John Mahama. Soon as he assumed office, he quickly turned his attention to education, thereby making education free for all Ghanaians, from primary to secondary education, something most African presidents are unwilling to do. Economic reforms. President Nana Akufo-Addo has started the implementation of his famous One District, One Factory campaign, which is aimed at establishing at least one factory in every district in Ghana. The program plans to transform the Ghana economy from one dependent on production and export of raw materials to a value-added industrialized economy. In a bid to increase agricultural productivity, the president has also started implementing his One Dam, One Village initiative, which is aimed at helping farmers and community in 5 northern regions in Ghana. In an effort to reduce the burden on businesses and traders, the president reduced import duty by 50%, while also reducing the import duties on vehicles by 30%. At a time where many African leaders are running over to China or the IMF for aid, President Nana Akufo-Addo is building a Ghana beyond aid, which sets out national plans and strategy of making the country self-reliant without any form of external support or aid. There is certainly no slowing down for Mr. Nana Akufo-Addo. With just a little over 2 years into governance, he has certainly shown that Africa has what it takes to make Africa work. And with that, he has earned a place in our 5 most performing presidents in Africa. At number 3 is John Joseph Magufuli. Born the 29th of October 1959, Magufuli is a Tanzanian politician and the current president of Tanzania. He was first elected into parliament in 1995 as Deputy Minister of Works. Under the umbrella of CCM, Magufuli ran and won the 2015 presidential election and was sworn into office the 5th of November 2015. If you enjoyed our videos and would want to watch more videos like this, do not forget to press the subscribe button. And also, if you want to be notified when we post new videos, please hit the bell button. Also, let us know what you think about our videos by leaving your comments and also liking. Thank you. Alright guys, back to our number 3 man, John Joseph Magufuli. He became known as the bulldozer for driving a program to build roads across the country. Those close to him say he is keen on details, and when he embarks on an assignment, he pursues it to completion. However, this very trait has cost him friends. Economic reforms. The Tanzanian economy grew by a whopping 7% in 2018, being the second fastest growing economy in East Africa, just after Rwanda. In March 2017, Magufuli banned the export of unprocessed ore in an effort to encourage domestic smelting, thus creating jobs for Tanzanians. He also amended the mining law, which now empowers the government to own not less than 16% non-dilutable shares in the capital of the mining firms, and also allows the government with time to acquire up to 50% of the mining firms. Since taking office in 2015, Magufuli has cut government spending by imposing measures such as restriction on foreign travels for government officials. A central bank report in early 2017 revealed that the government had saved $430 million by limiting foreign travel between November 2015 to November 2016. No doubt, Magufuli has become a darling to many African Twitter users. The hashtag #WhatWouldMagufuli saw other African presidents either being mocked or called into action to emulate the no-nonsense Tanzanian leader. Magufuli has done a lot, not for Tanzania alone, but for the entire continent of Africa. Hence, he's holding down the number 3 spot on our list of 5 most performing presidents in Africa. At number 2 is Abiy Ahmed. Born August 15, 1976, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed is the man sitting at the helm of government of Ethiopia. Abiy Ahmed is the youngest head of government in Africa at only 43 years of age. He was sworn in as the Prime Minister of Ethiopia on April 2nd, 2018. Economic reforms. Unlike his predecessor, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed is less wedded to the idea that state must control the economy's commanding heights. He is moving swiftly towards privatization of the telecom sector in an exercise that should raise billions of dollars, as well as modernizing the network that has fallen badly behind its African peers. In June 2018, Abiy announced the government's intention to establish an Ethiopian stock exchange. Ethiopia is the largest country in the world in terms of GDP and population without a stock exchange. As a landlocked country, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has pursued policy of expanding Ethiopia's access to ports in the region. In May 2018, Ethiopia signed an agreement with the government of Djibouti to take an equity stake in the port of Djibouti. 2 days later, a similar agreement was signed with the government of Sudan, granting Ethiopia an ownership stake in the port of Sudan. Prime Minister Abiy and the President of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta, also reached an agreement for the construction of an Ethiopian logistic facility at the Lamu port in Kenya. In order to solidify Ethiopia's position as one of the leading tourist destinations in Africa, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed is building a digital museum to celebrate Ethiopia's history, a mini Ethiopian theme park, and a zoo with 250 animals. He envisages thousands of paying visitors coming each day. Political reforms. With just a little over a year since taking office, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has overseen the swiftest political reforms in Ethiopia's over 2,000 years history. He freed 60,000 political prisoners, including every journalist previously detained. He also unbanned opposition groups once deemed as terrorist organizations and appointed women to half his cabinet. He has also pledged a free and fair elections in 2020 and made a prominent opposition activist head of the Electoral Commission. It wouldn't be ironic to say that Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has brokered more peace deals in his 1 year of governance than the African Union has done since inception. A 20 years long hostility between Ethiopia and Eritrea was brought to an end immediately Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed assumed office. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed also helped to broker a power-sharing deal that will eventually pave the way for elections in Sudan. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed is a role model for many young African politicians. He has also shown that young Africans, are ready for governance. His sharp and smart leadership style is just as good as his colorful suits. With these and many more, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has earned himself the second position in Africa's 5 most performing presidents. At number 1 is the man leading a country that has come to be seen as Africa's model for economic development. The man who has deliberately and consciously performed what I'd like to call the Rwanda miracle. He is Africa's number 1 citizen, Paul Kagame. Born October 23, 1957, Paul Kagame is a Rwandan politician and a former military leader. He is currently the president of Rwanda. Before taking office in 2000, Kagame was the vice president and the minister of defense from 1994 to 2000. President Kagame inherited a battered country brought to its knees by conflict and bitter ethnic rivalry. Rwanda at that time was nothing short of a failed state. In the late 1990s, President Kagame began to plan ways of achieving national development. He launched an ambitious program of national development tagged Vision 2020 after certain advice from emerging economies like China, Singapore, and Thailand. The aim of the program was to unite Rwandan people and to transform Rwanda from a highly impoverished country to a middle-income country. And it worked. Fast forward 20 years later, Rwanda is one of the safest countries in Africa today and one of the most peaceful. Rwanda is ranked 29 out of 190 economies of the world in the ease of doing business and second in Africa. Rwanda today has the highest number of women in politics anywhere in the world. More than half the members of parliament in the country's lower house are female. Since the implementation of Vision 2020 in the year 2000, the Rwandan economy has been growing steadily at 7% every year, earning a reputation as one of Africa's fastest growing economies. The 2017 Corruption Perception Index ranked Rwanda the third least corrupt country on the continent of Africa, only behind the Seychelles and Botswana. In 2018, Rwanda attracted over $2 billion worth of foreign direct investments. The country is not just creating a business-friendly environment, but also gradually and steadily transforming its economy from agricultural-based economy to knowledge-based, service-driven economy. These and many more are what President Paul Kagame and the people of Rwanda has achieved in just 2 decades. A country once impoverished and torn by civil war is now the hope of Africa. And that brings us to the end of the list. Ladies and gentlemen, President Paul Kagame is your number 1 Africa's most performing president. Out of Africa's 5 most performing presidents, 1 is located in the west of Africa, the other one in the north of Africa, and 3 of them are located in the east of Africa. Is East Africa spearheading the drive for Africa's good governance? Let us know what are your thoughts. Until next time, goodbye.